Hi, Ms. Gonzalez here. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about how do I add integers. And we're going to take a look at how we add integers that have the same sign. So go ahead and get your title up there. We should be on page 10 of your interactive notebook, your INB. And you should have your foldable already ready. It's folded into three sections, and the slits should be cut already. So on the first flap, adding with same sign. Okay, let's open up the flap. So on the inside flap, adding when the signs are the same. So you have two rules to follow. So when the signs are the same, you're going to add the numbers. Your second rule just says to keep the sign. So let's take a look at some examples applying these two rules. So go over to the right hand side of your foldable and let's take a look at this. So 3 plus 5. Okay, everybody should know what 3 plus 5 is. Something you guys learned a long time ago, right? Signs are the same, right? This one's a positive, this one's a positive. There's nothing to think about on this one. We know that 3 plus 5 is 8. Easy enough, right? Okay, so let's take a look if we add a negative. So let's say we have negative 3 plus a negative 5. So the parentheses are there to show that we're grouping this negative and this 5 together. So the rule says if the signs are the same, we're going to just add the numbers like we normally would. We know 3 plus 5 is 8. And the second rule says you're going to keep the sign. So they have negative signs, so it's going to be negative 8. So negative 3 combined with the negative 5 is negative 8. So let's have you guys work out some problems on your own. So look at negative 14 combined with the negative 15 for one problem. And the next one, negative 54 combined with negative 24. And let's see what you guys get. Let me give you guys a little bit of time to get that done. Alright, so that should be enough time. So let's take a look at what you guys came up with. So applying the sign, applying the rules, my signs are the same, so we're going to add the two numbers. 14 plus 15, well that's 29. My signs are the same, so we're just going to keep the sign. So you should have gotten negative 29. Let's look at number 4. My signs are the same, so we're going to add the numbers like the rule says. So you should get 78. And because they both have the same sign, it's going to keep the sign. So you should got negative 78 on that one. Okay, good. Now let's take a look at what we do when we're adding and the signs are different. So adding with different signs. Alright, so let's open up the flap. Alright, so when we're adding when the signs are different, you have two rules also. First, you're going to subtract. If my signs are different, you're going to subtract the numbers. Just ignore whatever signs are there for now and just subtract the numbers like you normally would. The thing to remember, different is like difference. So we know when we're finding the difference of something, you're subtracting, right? Alright, so the second rule. You're going to take the sign of the larger absolute value. We've talked about absolute value already. Okay? So, first rule, you subtract the numbers if the signs are different, and then you take the sign of the larger absolute value. So let's take a look at some examples to see what this means. So, first example. Let's say I have -3 plus 5. Okay, so the rule says if my signs are different, I'm going to subtract the numbers. I'm going to find the difference between the two. So since this is negative and this is positive, I got to find the difference. So the difference between 3 and 5 we know is 2. And then the second rule says you're going to take the sign of the larger absolute value. The absolute value of -3 is 3, because on the number line, the distance from -3 to 0 is 3 units. So the absolute value of -3 is 3. Remember, you cannot have a negative distance. The absolute value of 5 is just 5. So which one's bigger, 3 or 5? 5, right? So your answer is going to take the sign of the 5. Since the 5 is positive, you're going to leave it positive 2. There's no need for us to put a plus sign in front of that. We already know that that is positive 2. Okay, let's look at another one. So let's say we have 3 plus a -5. Okay, my signs are different, so I got to find the difference between the two. That means I got to subtract. The difference between those two, between 3 and 5, we know it's 2. Now I got to take the absolute value to determine what sign this answer is going to take. Absolute value of 3 is 3. The absolute value of -5 is 5. So since 5 is bigger, I'm going to go with the sign that the 5 has. So this 2 is going to take on that negative sign. Alright, so you guys are going to try now. So 18 plus a -6. And the other example would be -47 plus 13. Okay, you guys try that one. Okay, let's look at what you guys came up with. So my signs are different, so I got to subtract the numbers. I got to find the difference between the two. So the difference between 18 and 6, you should have gotten 12. If you take the absolute value of 18, it's 18, right? The absolute value of -6 is 6. So we know 18 is larger than or bigger than 6. So we're going to take the sign of the 18. So it's positive, so my answer is going to say positive 12. Let's look at how you did on number 4. Okay, signs are different, so I'm going to find the difference between the two, right? So -47 plus 13 So you find the difference between those two, you should get 34. The absolute value of negative 47 is 47. The absolute value of 13 is 13. Which one's bigger? The 47. So we're going to take the sign of that one. So it's negative. So you should have gotten negative 34 on this one here. How'd y'all do? Okay, good. Okay, so you guys are going to glue this in on this side, on the right hand side. On the left hand side, you guys will write your reflection. I'm going to give you guys some practice problems to work on. So let me move this over. Alright, there we go. Okay, practice problems. (17) plus a negative 53. So using your notes you just took, you're going to solve these problems. Negative 9 plus negative 37. And the third one, why not? Negative 15 plus 82. Okay, you guys work on those practice problems, and then when you guys are done with that, of course, you guys are going to write your reflection. So divide the bottom half, just put a line, I put a squiggly line. You're either going to write this statement here, today I learned. Finish that statement using vocabulary words from your notes. Or if you're still confused, you need to finish this statement. I'm still confused. You need to tell me specifically, using the terms that we use today, what you're confused about. Okay? Alright, have a good one.